Hi everyone, this is Serena Sun with Breaking Taboo. Welcome to our video audio podcast. Today I am sitting here with Katie Conibear from the UK, and Katie is here to talk about her experiences with bipolar 1 with psychotic symptoms. Katie is a writer. She started off as a blogger and now she is coming out with her book. And her book is a half memoir, half guide on how to deal with bipolar 1 issues. And Katie, from what I know today, your book is actually has launched with pre-orders, right? So it's an exciting day for you.
Really exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
Available on Amazon at the moment to pre-order. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, really
Awesome.
exciting.
Yeah, so Katie did not self-publish, by the way. This is through a publisher, and Katie is today her book is available for pre-orders on Amazon. So congratulations. By the way, today meaning October 13th, 2020. So
Yeah,
don't know when this is going to air, but as of October 13th, 2020, her book can be pre-ordered. So most likely by the time this airs, it won't just be pre-orders, it'll be like totally available, right, for purchase.
yeah, yeah. I should say what it's called. That would help. uh,
Yes, what is it called?
it's called Living at the Speed of Light. Um,
Living at the Speed of Light. Awesome. And why did you pick that title?
um, Originally, it was one of the title chapters, the chapter for mania and hypermania,
Oh,
and I
great.
thought it fitted with the bipolar experience and how it can
Yes.
feel.
Love it.
Yeah,
Oh, I love it. So bipolar feels like living at the speed of light. Awesome.
can do, yeah.
Yeah, so and we will get into that a little bit later. We'll definitely talk about mania and what mania looks like for someone that has bipolar. But first of all, I wanted to ask you, why are you so open about talking about these topics? And of course, we're finding that more and more people, obviously, if the work that we are doing is helping, are being more and more open about talking about these topics, which is great. But why is that? Why have you made the decision to be this open talking about your bipolar symptoms?
Well, I was first diagnosed in 2012 with bipolar disorder, and it felt like the right thing to do. I had mental illness or undiagnosed bipolar since I was 14. So I'd had this thing that I knew was something was wrong, something wasn't working, and then I finally had this answer that it was bipolar, and I felt like the right time to be open and honest to people. And I'd seen a therapist before when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and at the time I was very closed and wasn't very open at all. And what I learned through therapy was how important it is to open up and to talk to other people and to talk to family, talk to friends. Um, so yeah, I learned you can't carry that weight on your shoulders. You can't carry it around on your own all the time. It's impossible. You can't do it.
So what
Um,
are Oh, sorry.
go
Well, I was just curious, so what are people's reactions usually when you first tell them that you have bipolar?
um, it varies definitely.
Mhm.
When I've told family and friends, I've been really lucky, and they've all been really supportive, and not always got it straight away. But once I've explained to them some of the symptoms and sort of pointed them in the direction of different resources and websites and things, they start to slowly get it a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I've had some really difficult experiences as well with strangers where I was sort of in a place where I thought everyone I've spoken to has been super supportive, so I'm just going to be open all the time. And I had a night out, and I spoke to this bloke, and he he asked me what I did, and at the time I wasn't working. I hadn't been diagnosed very long, and I wasn't able to work. I was still working on my health, and I said, "Oh, I'm unemployed." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because I've got bipolar disorder." And he just said, "Oh, you're all a nightmare. You're all awful. You're all terrible."
Oh, wow.
I was like, what?
Huh.
He said, do you have a boyfriend? And I said, yes. He said, well, you're really lucky to have someone, because I had a girlfriend who had bipolar and she was a nightmare. I couldn't deal with her.
Wow.
And like reactions like that, you just think, what? That's obviously he'd had a bad experience.
Yes, yes, obviously it's personal.
Very personal, but you don't know what else has happened in that relationship.
Of course.
And I just said to him, well, I think any girl that goes out with you is going to be very unlucky.
What was his response? Was he just he was what?
I just walked off. I just
Oh,
left him. I was like, I'm not.
good response. Yeah, good comeback.
Sometimes there are certain people that just aren't gonna get it.
Right.
You can just tell it's not worth getting into that. It's gonna be an argument.
I mean, of course, the taboo adds to that, and there are unfortunately a lot of people who just don't get it, and it's just a lack of education or a lack of awareness and just the ignorance around it. So, I mean, we are ignorant to the things that we don't know about, so also, but this person just sounded like he had an agenda against his girlfriend, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was. You don't get that strong of an emotional response usually unless you really have some type of obvious personal emotional baggage that you haven't figured out.
I think for the most part people are willing to learn.
Right.
From what my experience, people are willing to learn and
that's good
about things.
Good
about bipolar, definitely.
Good. Why do you think it's so important to talk about this? I mean, would you encourage other people with bipolar or other mental health diagnoses to be as open as you are?
I think I'm like on the very open side of the scale. Like I
obviously you wrote a book.
I wrote, and there's some very deeply personal things in there and things I've done that are very embarrassing that I put in the book, and I'm thinking, why did I put that in the book? But
no, it's great. I mean, as a writer myself, I go through the same thing. I mean, and sometimes it's such a struggle because if it's autobiographical at all, you put people who you care about in the book or people that in the book, and it's and it could be even embarrassing for them, but it's a struggle of, do I tell the truth, if I really want to be open and honest and tell the truth, how much of the truth do I tell? But they say that the best stories, and obviously if you want it to be educational, the truth I think really matters a lot. It matters to tell the truth the way that it happened. The way that it happened for you. So it's almost like the morale of it, of being a writer. But it's tough because we also, we're also supposed to write fiction too, so it's a fine blend, and we don't want to hurt people around us. But I think, at least if it's about your personal experiences, at least the person taking responsibility for it, and the person, obviously you said that sometimes you wonder if it's embarrassing. So at least you're the one dealing with that. But how do you deal with that? I mean, do you have any regrets so far in putting anything down?
No, I don't think so, because I know I've helped other people, and I've had people like send me messages and things like that saying that my blogs or my articles have helped them, help them be more open or help them understand someone in their life, and that's the best part of it. That's what makes it so fantastic.
Great,
but no, I don't have any regrets, and I think not everyone has to be like super honest about everything and share everything about them or the mental illness that they're living with. We're not all at the same stage of acceptance and understanding ourselves. So I think you have to do what's best for you and what you feel comfortable with, and I would never pressurize anyone to be really, really open if they weren't ready to. You have to be ready, and I think you have to have that support network. You have to have that partner or family or great friends that are there that you can fall back on if something does go wrong, or if you do find yourself in a difficult situation, or you get online trolling or whatever, you have people that you can fall back on.
Yeah. What if someone doesn't have people who are supportive, even in their own family or their own relationship? What if those people just don't get it? What would you say to them?
You know, that's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I already said, I'm lucky that I haven't experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
I think with all sort of like family, if they are sort of toxic and they are draining you, it's worth, you know, changing your relationship or looking at your relationship and saying, is this something that I want in my life? Is this having a positive impact on me? Is it helping me?
Mm-hmm.
Why have I got these people in my life? I
Right.
think that's important to
Right.
look at that. And if you feel like you're in a space or you feel strong enough to educate them and to help them understand,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody is, but you know, there are different places that you can get support on. There's some great people online
Right.
that are really supportive. You can go to support groups, all that kind of thing, where you can find people that are like your tribe and people that get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really valuable if you haven't got that at home.
Right. And one of the things of getting it is understanding that not all bipolar look the same, right? So
Yeah,
um a bipolar, even within the bipolar categories 1 and 2, there's, you know, it's very different, it's very personal for everyone. Obviously everyone has a different experience with everything, every type of diagnoses, day-to-day life, or you know, whatever. Our brain processes things differently and we have different experiences. So what are some of the ways that it manifests for you? I'm sure you probably wrote some of this in your book, but
no, it's fine. um, so yeah, I have bipolar type 1, so I get very, very depressed, like severe depression.
what does that like? What does that look like for you?
So it's complete lack of motivation, suicidal thoughts, feeling completely hopeless, helpless, feeling guilty all the time, um, not being able to do everyday tasks, not being able to look after myself. Um, yes.
And how long does that last?
That can last from a couple of weeks to months. It can stretch on for months. And that's kind of the scary bit, is you don't know how long it will last.
Right.
You're not sure. You think, oh, will this be over in a couple of weeks, or will I still be like this 6 months down the line?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not linear. It goes up and down within a depressive episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be completely suicidal for 6 months. It might be
Right.
like, oh, I feel a bit better now during that time, but then it creeps back in, and yes, it's very debilitating. It's not good. And
Right.
with I get mania, so which is sort
Mania.
of the extreme sort of highs. But I think that's a very simplistic way of explaining it, because it's about, yeah, you get that elation, you get that feeling of invincibility and feeling amazing and euphoric,
Mm-hmm.
but you also get, well, I get sort of reckless behavior, um, overspending, get really angry and irritable with people, very erratic, and
Do you
yes, that
feel good while you're in a manic episode?
usually it starts off like that. Like
Uh-huh.
it starts off like, oh, I feel amazing. I feel like the best I've ever felt.
Right.
I can do anything. I'm the best at everything. I think I'm the best at everything. Like I'll
Right.
think, oh, I can go and write a novel in 6 weeks and it'll be bestseller.
Have you tried that? Did you try that during a manic episode ever?
I have, yeah. And
Okay.
half of it didn't make any sense.
Like what do you write about? Like what do you mean it doesn't make any sense when you read it back? Like what's an example?
Like literally, some of it will just be gibberish. Um,
Okay.
like it won't be sort of a cohesive
Right.
sentence paragraph, and you'll think,
Uh-huh.
what was I talking about? Um, it all made sense in my head, but now it really doesn't.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and sort of like half sort of baked ideas that really wouldn't work. But at the time, I thought, this is it. This is the idea. This
All
is the,
right. Well,
yeah,
I know you spoke about earlier with me before you spoke about being feeling invincible while you're in a manic episode. So
yeah.
what is that like?
That's kind of linked with um, mania and being delusional. So
Mm-hmm.
having like delusions of grandeur and feeling
Mm-hmm.
completely invincible. And it's things like the one thing that kind of gets into my head is that I can't be hurt.
You can't be hurt.
I can't be hurt
Nothing
at
can hurt
all.
you.
Nothing
Okay.
can hurt me.
Like a superhero.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And I'll do things like I'll walk out into the road.
In the middle of the road, in the middle
Middle
of
of
the
the road,
street
middle of the street,
with
and
cars.
with cars, yeah. And I've been run over
You've
a
been
couple of
run over.
times. Yeah.
You've been run over a couple of times because you thought you couldn't be hurt and you went in the middle of the road and a car ran over you.
Yeah.
How fast were they going? Were you hospitalized? I mean, that's really dangerous.
I was really lucky
Uh-huh.
because it was on a busy main street
Mm-hmm.
that I was walking down, but they were coming down a side street.
Uh-huh.
So I walked out in front of them. They were coming to a junction, but
Right.
they were still moving.
Right.
The first time it happened, and I sort of just bounced off the car. um, I was
what is
more,
what did you think when you bounced off the car though? Did you still think you were invincible?
yeah,
Did
I
it
did.
You did? Oh, okay. And added to that, you're probably like, "Oh, see, nothing happened."
It did. I had some bruises and things, and
Oh no.
because I wasn't like badly hurt or wasn't knocked out or anything,
Right.
it sort of fueled that delusion. I thought,
Right.
oh yeah, of course it hasn't hurt me.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, I didn't even tell anyone. I was walking home to my my house where my partner was. I didn't tell him
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't think it was important. Because I was
Wow.
no, it's just one of those things, you know.
Oh wow.
Just like someone had knocked me or something as they're walking past me. It was like it didn't register that it was a big deal at the time. It
Hmm.
wasn't until afterwards, I think it was like a couple of weeks later when I was back down and more stable, that I
Mm-hmm.
went, oh, what?
And this is when you were not on your meds, right? You were not on your meds during this, or
um, my meds hadn't been sorted.
oh,
So
okay.
I wasn't on medication I was on was not right for me and it wasn't doing its job.
Oh,
Uh,
I see. Was it
Um,
bipolar medication? I mean, were you diagnosed at that point?
I was,
Okay.
but it wasn't stabilizing me. It wasn't. So I was on
Mm,
mood stabilizers that were supposed to bring me level, but
right.
they just were sending me up.
Oh, I see. I see.
And yeah,
Yeah, I find it really interesting, even when we were speaking over the phone, Katie, that you were laughing about a lot of these experiences and that you were telling me about, especially the more manic getting run over by a car. And, I find that a lot of times when I speak to people with experiences like this, they have a healthy sense of humor around it, and it's pretty amazing to me, and I love it. I love that people can laugh about this, and even I myself, sometimes I have a self-deprecating sense of humor, but I think of it as like a healthy way to process things. Why do you laugh about this stuff? I mean, do you think it's healthy to do so?
I think it is healthy, yeah. I mean, I'm English anyway, so we have a very self-deprecating sense of humor. We were,
Hence why I love British comedy. I love British shows. I like British books. Like I really get the humor there, actually. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's part of the culture to laugh at yourself.
Part of the
But yeah,
culture.
yeah. But I think yeah, if I didn't, I think sometimes if I didn't laugh, I would cry
Oh
about some
yeah.
of the things, you know, and just some of the, and you just think it's so some of the stuff I've done. I
Hmm.
think I look back at it and go, oh, that's so embarrassing. I can't believe I did that. But then you just get hung up on it, and it's the kind
Right.
of thing that you think about at night when you're trying to sleep. And
Mm.
I'd rather have a healthier sort of mindset and think, I need to laugh at this and
Right.
share it with other people and laugh with them.
Right.
And
Right.
I think having that sort of sense of humor about it, it helps other people get it
Yeah.
when you're not being so serious about it all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of comedians, most comedians actually have quite um hard background. A lot of them have like really have experienced depression. You know, a lot of the most famous comedians have had a really hard life, and they turn that around and they laugh about it, and that's like almost their way
yeah,
of processing it and dealing with it, and talking about it. Like you wrote a book and they, like, you know, go up on stage and they do stand-up comedy around it, right? So yeah, another thing that it usually shows me is when I find that someone laughs about it is, you know, if they're not a comedian, oftentimes it shows me where they are in their healing process, like whether or not they've fully
yeah,
they've gotten over it or not, you know. And typically, you know, after a few years, when time after time passes, a lot of times like we are able to look back on something and see the humor in it. Be like, oh, actually, you know, that was pretty funny. I mean, I can think of 1,000 things back when I was like a kid or in high school or something that I thought were so embarrassing, but now I look back and I'm like, that was really funny, you know? So yeah, so I love it. I love that you have such a sense of humor about some of this stuff, Katie. Um, but I also know, obviously, you know, mania is not always that funny. You did also mention that you wanted to speak about how it could be really detrimental, and you wanted to break some of the myths and the taboos around what mania is. So typically, what do people usually think mania is if they haven't experienced bipolar?
yeah. Usually people think it's about being happy, um, and it's just a good time, and you're the life of the party, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's so much more complex than that. I mean, yeah, like we said earlier, you can feel euphoric and feel the best you ever have,
Hmm.
but it can be as self-destructive as depression can be. More so, I think, in
Hmm.
some ways. I mean, things like overspending. I mean, I have spent thousands of pounds frivolously on like trips away, on um, designer bags and shoes. I'm not even into that kind of thing. I'm not
You
even.
don't, you're not even into
I'm,
that
no,
normally?
I'm not. But when I'm manic, I just
Right.
have this urge, this compulsion to spend money.
Mhm. And
Um,
that's actually pretty common in bipolar, actually,
yeah,
right? Yeah, compulsion to just manic spending is what it's called. Yeah.
yeah. And it feels like it gets addictive, and
Oh.
it's like a thrill, and you just end up with all this useless junk, and you think, why did I buy all that? And
Do you try to return it after you come out of the episode?
um, no.
No.
Usually it's like I don't keep the receipts, because when you're
Oh.
manic, you think, oh, I don't need the receipts. I'm going to keep this. I don't, or I have no idea where the receipts are, or I think, where did I get this from? I don't even remember buying it.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. So it's kind of like you black out while you're like in those episodes sometimes, and you're not fully conscious,
I
or
think,
like you're so excited almost, that and so much adrenaline that like you don't
yeah,
even quite remember what's going
it can be
on.
a bit of a blur sometimes of what's
Yeah.
actually happened and what you did. Um,
Right.
and there's that embarrassment and that shame as well, that you spent all this
Right.
money.
Oh, I see. Do you go on the trips like when you buy tickets away? Do you at least go to those trips that you bought?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do things like I've done things on a whim. I've gone away, got found a deal and gone. I'm just going away this weekend
By yourself?
by myself.
Oh, wow.
I said to my partner, or you know,
Uh-huh.
done it with my exes as well. Just gone. Right, we're going to this swanky hotel.
Oh, nice.
I booked. Yeah, it sounds really nice.
Yeah, it does sound really nice, but I mean, I can understand why it without like, being well thought out, it could be
When
pretty
you not, yeah,
detrimental to your bank
when you
account.
not budget, you haven't budgeted for it, and you what what have I done? And
Well, what do your partners say at the time? I mean, were they aware that this was an episode, or is it hard for them to tell and they're just like, "Oh, wow, we're going somewhere."
well, my partner now, he gets it now, and he knows.
Uh-huh.
No, don't do that. And at
Okay.
the moment, we actually have a plan now for when I'm manic.
Oh,
If
good.
he sees the signs of me being manic, I have to give him my credit cards. I
That's
can't
good.
spend on my credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps them. I'm not allowed to see them. And I do things like I'll have ad blockers on my laptop
Mm-hmm.
for certain websites that I often use for
Mm-hmm.
spending money. And I'll put an ad block on. Let him put the password in, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't take the ad blocker off and get into the website.
Right.
Uh,
I see.
we have a plan now.
Oh, that's
Like
good.
with my exes, they just thought I was good fun.
Of course. But I mean, did they know that you had bipolar though? I mean, or did they know and they just didn't really know what it looked like, so they couldn't tell the signs?
Well, my partner that I'm with now, I've been with for 11 years. So
Oh, okay, okay.
I was diagnosed whilst I was with him.
Okay.
But yeah, my ex partners, yeah, they had no idea. They just thought I was, I was in my early
Yeah.
20s, and they just thought I was good fun, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
I can see that. I can see how people would think that. Yeah.
I was impulsive and just did things, and they were
Right.
like, okay, I just went along.
Right. This is spontaneous girl. Yeah. That's why I'm dating her. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So, what are like the first few signs that your partner or people can watch out for? The start of a manic episode, like even like just the very first few subtle signs that you could teach people about.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of like my speech changes, so I start speaking really fast.
Okay.
I'm like, and I won't shut up. Um, like I will not stop talking from the moment I see them in the morning to the moment I go to bed.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So you just
and
talk their ear off.
yeah, constantly. Like my partner says, I know you're almost manic when you're annoying. I'm really annoying, and he's like,
That's
"Are you
funny.
sure you're okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. So that's always a sign, and
It's like when I have too much caffeine.
yeah,
I, I can be like that too. But luckily caffeine wears off, but it's doing something to my brain and my adrenaline, and I'm just like,
yeah,
my thoughts already go a mile a minute, and then with caffeine it's yeah, I can understand. That's how I understand it.
yeah,
My own little way,
yeah,
or relate to it,
yeah.
relates, yeah,
It's
trying to
one of
relate.
those things where it doesn't go away.
Hmm.
It that fast pressured speech will be day after day after day after day, whether
Right.
whether I've had coffee or not.
Right, right. Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
and I'll do things like I won't sleep. Um, it will affect my sex drive, so I'll want sex more. Um, those are the kind of things, like the initial
Hmm.
symptoms, really, like the
Hmm.
warning signs. And
Right. So if you
um,
notice someone like not sleeping and talking a lot, that's usually a sure sign.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Hmm.
usually um, just having loads of projects. Like all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. All these amazing ideas.
Yeah. So, okay, great. Okay, I think this is really important to teach people, because a lot of people obviously wouldn't know, even if they had it right in front of them, just like you were saying with your exes, they wouldn't be able to really tell and do something about it and help someone else. Yeah. Well, okay, so what about depression then, in bipolar, at least for you and your experience? What are some of the first signs of that people could watch out for?
Usually with me, it's just a lack of motivation. I'm usually really motivated. I'm like you, I've always got projects going on. I'm always excited about things and doing new things. And when that all disappears, then that's a big sign that something's not right. When I start putting things off, when I can't face things, when I don't want to do phone calls, when I don't want to talk to people, just when I'm isolating myself and drawing back from the world, that's kind of a big sign.
And do you isolate? Does that include your partner or your family members? Like you don't want to talk to them? Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, just everyone, like socializing just feels like too much effort. And yeah, that's a big one. And feeling tired. Mine are all linked to sleep.
Right.
So yeah, so it's like the opposite end. I just want to sleep all the time. I'm really tired all the time and can't get going.
So what does your partner do when he starts noticing these symptoms, the depressive ones?
I think he finds it more difficult, if I'm honest, because there isn't like a quick fix. There isn't something that you can't wave a magic wand and make it go away. But yeah, he knows that I need support. I need someone to talk to. I need someone that's calm, that's gentle, that won't judge me, and will make sure I go and get help if I need help.
And what kind of help? Like therapy or?
Yeah, so it will be therapy, or it will be talking to my psychiatrist or my regular doctor.
And what do they do?
So usually it's I go to see my psychiatrist usually, and we put together an action plan, whether there needs to be a tweak to medication, whether they think maybe you need to have a bit of therapy, or maybe something a little bit more like talking about hospital maybe if I'm very ill. So yeah, it's about coming up with a plan, and when I have a plan, when I'm depressed, I feel a bit better. I think, right, there's something that's happening.
Okay. So it does help. Okay.
Yeah, there's we got something to move forward with. Yeah.
Can I ask you, like, what besides medication and just waiting for the episodes to go away and for you to come back to more normalcy? You're talking about these things that you do. Do you think that they do help you and like coming out of the episodes a bit faster, or do you, whether it's manic or depressive, are there things that people can do to help you come out of those episodes, or no?
I think so. It's like I think you have to have quite a lot of self-awareness, and I think it's important firstly to know what your signs are, to know what the warning signs are, and to be able to do something about it, like get some help, get some support before it gets too severe. That's what I find, that's what's helped me. But sometimes you can't stop something. Like with like depression, for instance, I just had like a bad bout of depression, and there was nothing I could do about it. It felt like I just needed to ride the wave and let it happen. But I've learned, coping mechanisms, and I have like a crisis box, like a self-care box that I have for when I'm really struggling.
What's in your self-care box?
It's very sort of sensory. So I've got like fluffy socks in there. I've got like candles. I've got like a lavender cushion that I can heat up because like, you know, warmth makes me feel better, especially if I get panicky. I have like I have like old CDs and DVDs in there from like good times or childhood that are like comfort music or comfort shows that I will put on or listen to that make me feel secure.
Nice.
Yeah, things like that. And and random things that make me laugh.
Oh,
Um,
nice. So when you're in like these episodes, now that you have the awareness of, you know, your diagnoses, and typically how it goes, does it help to tell yourself like, okay, this is not this is only temporary, this is going to go away? Like, do you know that now and it's not as scary, I guess, would you say?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know from experience, okay, this will go away. And I know I have people around me that get it. And I understand myself and I understand my symptoms. So I can be more aware of what's
Does
going
that help alleviate the symptoms?
on.
Even that awareness?
I think in a way it does, because I feel more in control, because I don't feel so out of control. I know what to expect from the
Cool.
experience. And
Nice.
I think that really helps. And it helps me explain myself to other people and to medical professionals if I need to.
Yeah.
I can explain, this is exactly what's happening. This is how I feel. This is sort of on a 1 to 10 scale of where I'm at right now. Because I've been through it before.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, obviously the power of awareness, just more evidence that the more we know, right?
Yeah.
The better off we are. So yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Is there okay, so is there anything with the last remaining time that we have here that you would like to add on to this or share to the public, even if it's something within your book, or it doesn't matter? Is there anything else that you like to add?
um, yeah, like obviously I need to plug my book again.
Yeah, plug.
Yeah, I will. uh, Living at the Speed of Light. You can pre-order it now. It's out in March 2021, but available now for pre-order.
Okay, March 2021.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm really proud of it. It's, you know, it's a mixture of my own experiences with bipolar disorder, but using that experience to sort of give people a no nonsense guide to bipolar.
Yeah.
So it explains, for newbies, it's good because it explains it. But if you live with it, it's a good guide. Sort of, you can relate to it. It's got a whole section just for family and friends, for them to understand bipolar a little bit better and to know what to do and how to help.
Love it.
Yeah, it's got a whole chapter on sort of life and relationships and work, how to navigate that, and then how to deal with stigma and discrimination. So I've tried to cover as much as I possibly can
No, that's great.
about the
So
experience.
important. Yeah. Yeah. I find it also pretty interesting that there's so many people who go through mental health issues who are writers or become writers as a way of processing what they're going through, or journaling, you know, and then
Yeah.
later on able to do amazing things like actually use that writing and come out with a, you know, published book or educate others, or you know, so I think it's great, you know. Not only, I always say writing itself is a form of therapy, but not only obviously as a form of therapy, it's also a way to like help the world, you know. So
Yeah, definitely.
wonderful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so last question. I always like to ask something similar to this, but you know, what would you tell someone? Is there any advice that you tell someone who may be suspecting that they might be, they're not diagnosed yet, but perhaps they're wondering if perhaps they do have bipolar, or some of the symptoms that you say really resonates with them? You know, let's say they're listening to this and they're thinking, wow, you know, what should I do now? What would you tell them? What should they do? Or do you have any advice for them?
Well, what I was asked to do when I was first diagnosed was
Mm-hmm.
keep a journal, a mood journal, to chart my moods every day. And I did that for about 3 months. And that's what helped me get a diagnosis, because at the assessment, the psychiatrist could see that my moods were all over the place.
Mm.
That I had, depression, and then I had um, mania within that time period.
What was it? That sounds like a very short time period. You mean within
Yeah,
3 months?
yeah, it was. I was a bit all over the place at the time. I think when I started the journal, I'd been depressed for a long time, and that's what triggered the talking to doctors and things like that, because I knew I needed to do something about it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend trying something like that if you're worried about your moods, um, and looking at sort of like keeping looking at like a chronology, like making a chronology of what you've been through, and if you can chart big stages of moods
Mm-hmm.
and big experiences that you've been through, and you think, oh, that happened when, and then linking it to a mood, um, then you can kind of chart sort of different mood states and things like that. And that's something else that helped me get a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think obviously if you're worried, you should definitely talk to someone about it. And
Yeah. Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and
no,
talk to people. Yeah. And I love that. And journaling, keeping a journal of your moods every day and tracking how you feel every day. I mean, we should all do that. Katie, thank you so much. I think you are such an inspiration for all those out there, and thank you for all of the great tips that you gave today and being so open with your own personal experiences with bipolar. And we can't wait to read your book when it comes out. I will definitely be recommending it as a guide for anyone who is curious about what bipolar is. So yeah, absolutely. And when it comes out, let us know. Make sure you tag us or shoot me an email
oh
or
yeah,
something. Yeah. And yeah, thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time over there in UK. It's nighttime for you. So thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Bye everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye,
thank you.
Katie. Bye.